In the world of gods and demons, where power is everything, there are few figures as complex, as brilliant, and as tragic as Ravana. Here was a king whose city was made of gold, a scholar whose knowledge was so vast it took 10 heads to contain it, and a devotee so passionate that the gods themselves answered his call. He could stir the oceans, move mountains, and challenge the heavens. So why is this larger-than-life figure remembered as a villain? Why is his name a synonym for evil, his effigy burned year after year? The story of Ravana isn't just about a demon king, it's the epic tragedy of how a man's greatness became the very source of his downfall. It's a timeless lesson that even the most brilliant light can be consumed by the shadow of its own ego. To understand the fall, you first have to see the ascent. Ravana wasn't born a simple monster. He had a seriously impressive family tree, a blend of divine genius and demonic ambition. His father was a great sage descended from the creator god Rama, and his mother was a demon princess who wanted a son more powerful than any king on earth. From this mix of light and shadow, Ravana was born with a brilliant mind and an unquenchable thirst for power. From a young age, he was a prodigy. He and his brothers, the giant Kumbhakarna and the noble Vibhishana, mastered the sacred texts. Ravana became a master of the 4 Vedas and 6 Shastras, the core scriptures of Hindu philosophy. This immense knowledge was said to be the source of his 10 heads, each one a library of wisdom. But he wasn't just a bookworm. He was a master politician, a lover of the arts, and a virtuoso of the veena, an ancient stringed instrument. Some legends even say he created his own version, the Rudra Veena, just to impress the gods with his music. His devotion was as intense as his intellect. He was a die-hard follower of Lord Shiva, the god of destruction. In a legendary display of arrogance, Ravana once tried to lift Mount Kailash, Shiva's divine home. Annoyed, Shiva pinned him under the mountain with just his big toe. Trapped and humbled, Ravana did something incredible. For 1,000 years, he sang hymns to Shiva. The song was so beautiful and full of devotion that it moved Shiva to tears. The god not only freed him but also gave him an invincible celestial sword, the Chandrahas. Armed with knowledge and divine gifts, Ravana decided he needed a kingdom to match. He set his sights on the island of Lanka, a city of gold built by the god's own architect. The problem? It was ruled by his half-brother, Kubera, the god of wealth. Ravana didn't hesitate. He marched on Lanka, kicked Kubera out and took the throne, along with a magnificent flying chariot called the Pushpaka Vimana. And under his rule, Lanka thrived. He was a surprisingly good king. The kingdom was prosperous, his people were cared for, and his capital was a marvel of art and science. At that moment, Ravana was at the absolute peak of his power. He had everything anyone could ever want. But the foundation of his greatness was built on a fatal flaw, and it was starting to crack. Unchecked power often breeds a dangerous poison, arrogance. And for Ravana, that poison came with a guarantee. He and his brothers performed years of intense penance to get the attention of the creator god Brahma. In a shocking act of self-sacrifice, Ravana cut off his own head. And when it grew back, he did it again. 9 more times. Finally, Brahma was impressed and offered him a wish. Ravana asked for immortality, but Brahma said no. So, Ravana asked for the next best thing, total invulnerability. He demanded protection from gods, demons, spirits, every supernatural being he could think of. But in his pride, he didn't bother asking for protection from humans, who he saw as weak and insignificant. It was a single, arrogant oversight that would seal his fate. Brahma granted the wish, and just like that, Ravana was nearly invincible. He believed no power in the heavens or hells could touch him. His 10 heads, Once symbols of his vast knowledge began to change. They came to represent the 10 negative qualities that unchecked power creates: lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, and the massive ego that ruled them all. His intellect was still there, but it was now clouded by a feeling of absolute superiority. He started testing his new power, not just on mortals, but on the gods themselves. He rampaged across the 3 worlds, conquering anyone who stood in his way. He stirred oceans into a frenzy, moved mountains, and disrupted holy rituals without fear. He even dared to challenge Yama, the god of death, in his own realm. His name became a word for terror across the cosmos. In his mind, there was no one left to challenge him. He was supreme. This blinding arrogance, born from a divine gift, had set him on a collision course with destiny. The man who was safe from gods and demons would soon face an enemy he'd never considered, a god in the form of a man. Every great tragedy has a point of no return. For Ravana, it all started with an insult to his sister. The demoness Shurpanakha was wandering in the forests of southern India when she stumbled upon 2 exiled princes of Ayodhya, Rama and his brother Lakshmana. She was instantly obsessed with Rama, and using her magic to look like a beautiful woman, she proposed to him. Rama, completely devoted to his wife Sita, politely turned her down. So, Shurpanakha tried her luck with Lakshmana, who also rejected her. Humiliated and furious, her beautiful disguise melted away, revealing her true demonic form. In a fit of rage, she didn't attack the men who had scorned her. She lunged at the woman she blamed for it, the beautiful Sita. To protect his sister-in-law, Lakshmana drew his sword and sliced off Shurpanakha's nose and ears. Screaming in pain and fury, Shurpanakha fled back to her brother in Lanka. She told him what happened, but she was smart. She knew a simple plea for revenge might not be enough to move her arrogant brother, so she played her trump card. She described Sita's unearthly beauty, calling her a jewel fit only for the most powerful king in the universe. Her words ignited Ravana's 2 most dangerous vices, lust and pride. The desire to possess this perfect woman and the outrage that mere mortals would dare harm his sister merged into a single obsessive goal. His righteous brother Vibhishana begged him not to start a war over a personal vendetta, but Ravana's ego was too big to listen. He came up with a plan. He got his uncle, Murcha, a shapeshifter, to turn into a magical golden deer and lure Rama away from their cottage. Just as he planned, Sita was enchanted and begged Rama to catch it for her. Rama chased the deer deep into the forest, leaving Sita with Lakshmana. When Rama finally shot the deer, the dying Mricha mimicked Rama's voice, crying for help. Sita panicked and begged Lakshmana to go help his brother. Once they were both gone, the path was clear. Ravana, disguised as a holy man, approached Sita. Then he dropped the disguise, grabbed her, and dragged her onto his flying chariot, soaring away to his island kingdom. This one act born of arrogance, lust, and revenge was the point of no return. By kidnapping Sita, Ravana hadn't just stolen a man's wife. He had challenged Dharma, the cosmic order of righteousness itself. He had just declared war on a god who had come to earth in human form for the sole purpose of destroying a demon king who had grown far too powerful. The kidnapping of Sita kicked off one of the greatest wars in mythology. When Rama discovered Sita was gone, he was consumed by grief and rage. His quest led him to an alliance with the Vanaras, a powerful army of monkey warriors led by their king Sugriva and his greatest general, the devoted Hanuman. Hanuman, who could leap across oceans, found Sita in Lanka, held captive in a garden. He gave her Rama's ring as a sign of hope and returned with proof of where she was. Now the path to war was clear. The Vanara army built a legendary bridge of floating stones across the ocean to Lanka, allowing Rama's forces to march right up to Ravana's fortress. Even then, Rama sent one last peace offering. Return Sita, and all will be forgiven. Ravana, blinded by his own pride, laughed in his face. That laughter sealed Lanka's fate. What followed was a brutal, 7-day war that shook the heavens. Ravana's army was filled with terrifying Rakshasas, masters of illusion and savage warfare. His son, Indrajit, was a warrior so powerful he had once defeated Indra, the king of the gods. His brother Kumbhakarna was a giant so huge that he slept for 6 months at a time, and it took an army just to wake him up for battle. The battlefield was pure chaos. The sky went dark, thick with so many arrows they blocked out the sun. Celestial weapons unleashed storms, fire, and serpents made of pure energy. Indrajit used dark magic, turning invisible and nearly killing Lakshmana. Lakshmana was only saved when Hanuman flew all the way to the Himalayas and brought back the entire mountain that grew the life-saving Sanjeevani herb. The giant Kumbhakarna woke up and stomped onto the battlefield like a walking mountain, crushing Rama's army before Rama himself finally brought him down. One by one, Lanka's greatest champions fell. Indrajit was finally killed by Lakshmana in a vicious duel. As Ravana watched his sons, his brother, and his entire army get wiped out, he was consumed by a grief and rage hotter than any fire. His kingdom was in ashes. His family was gone. All that was left was him. Donning his armor, the 10-headed king rode onto the battlefield for one final, cataclysmic showdown. It was now a duel between the king of demons and the god in human form. The final battle between Rama and Ravana was a spectacle of cosmic power. The armies stopped fighting to watch. The gods gathered in the heavens to see how it would end. Ravana, with his 20 arms wielding a terrifying arsenal of weapons, was a vision of pure fury. Across from him stood Rama, calm and focused. The clash began. Ravana unleashed a storm of divine weapons, but each time, Rama had a perfect counter. The sky exploded with light as their powers collided. Frustrated, Ravana used his magic to create copies of himself, trying to overwhelm Rama with illusions. But Rama's divine sight cut through the tricks, never losing focus on the real Ravana. Slowly, methodically, Rama began to dismantle his opponent. He shattered Ravana's crown. He broke his bow. Then he started slicing off Ravana's heads. One by one, they fell to the ground, only to grow right back, a horrifying testament to the boons he had earned. The battle seemed like it would never end. It was then that Rama's divine charioteer, Mythology, leaned in and revealed the secret to Ravana's undoing. Some versions of the story say that the secret of Ravana's life wasn't in his heads at all, but was hidden in a vessel of divine nectar stored in his navel. But more importantly, Mythology reminded Rama of the fatal flaw in Ravana's wish. He was protected from gods and demons, but not from men. This was the opening Rama needed. He summoned the most powerful weapon in existence, the Brahmastra, a divine missile created by Brahma himself. Chanting the sacred mantras, Rama aimed not at Ravana's heads or his heart, but at his navel. The arrow flew, glowing like 1,000 suns. It struck Ravana's abdomen, vaporizing the source of his immortality. The great demon king shuddered. His weapons fell from his hands. His seemingly invincible body crumbled. He crashed to the earth, not with a roar, but with a final, quiet gasp. The 10-headed king who had challenged the gods was dead. In victory, Rama showed no hatred. He approached the body of his fallen enemy and told Ravana's grieving brother Vibhishana to perform the funeral rites of a great king. The war was over. Righteousness had been restored. Ravana's story isn't a simple tale of good versus evil. It's a tragedy about our own nature. He embodies the duality in all of us, the capacity for incredible knowledge and for devastating arrogance, the ability to be a devoted follower and a destructive tyrant, the power to build a golden city and the ego to burn it all down. His 10 heads were both his greatest strength and his fatal weakness. They represented a mastery of knowledge that few could ever dream of, but they also came to symbolize the vices of pride, lust, and greed that ultimately destroyed him. He was brilliant, capable, and even devout, but his refusal to control his ego, to listen to good advice, and to respect basic decency led him straight to his own ruin. The legend of Ravana is a timeless warning. It reminds us that knowledge without wisdom is dangerous, power without humility is corrupting, and ambition without ethics leads only to a fall. He remains a powerful symbol of how even the greatest among us can be brought down one day. Forget that no one is above the law. If you found this dive into mythology compelling, make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell. We break down the most epic stories and complex characters from around the world every week. Let us know in the comments which mythological figure you want us to explore next.